Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carla if you're new here, and I lost a load of weight and I talk about a lot on the internet. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about body dysmorphia and change blindness. I recently reached my goal weight again after my postpartum journey, and I have been experiencing some kind of change blindness, body dysmorphia over the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to do a video about it because I think it's something that affects a lot of us at all different stages of weight loss, weight gain and weight maintenance, and it can be something that's very tricky to navigate. And I just wanted to create a video here. So what I'm going to be doing is talking you through what is body dysmorphia and the distinction between that and change blindness. I'm also going to be talking about my experience, what realizations I've come to about my weight loss and my body over the last couple of weeks, and then some tips and things that I've collected from other people and that I'm going to be putting into practice myself. And I just want to start off by saying, kind of giving a bit of a trigger warning. This video is talking about a mental health condition, so if it's something about body image that you are unhappy about or you don't want to listen to or hear me talk about, please, feel free to exit. I won't take offense. I'm also, as you can tell, in a brand new background. I haven't been liking where I was filming before. It was a little bit dark, so hopefully this one works. I know it's a bit more busy at the background, but maybe it's a little bit more interesting. So let me know down in the comments below. And please guys, if you're not subscribed already, please consider giving me a subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, completely free. And if you like this video, comment, save it, turn on those notifications so you never miss a video from me. I really appreciate it. It helps the YouTube algorithm to know that this is useful content and that this is something that you guys would like to see in the future, and it would help just get the word out to other people as well. So without further ado, I'm going to get into this video. So we hear the term body dysmorphia. It gets bandied around an awful lot. People often say that, I have body dysmorphia, I don't like the way I look. And there are definitely people who have body dysmorphia. There are also people who have issues with their body, or there are people who have change blindness. So body dysmorphia is a clinical mental health disorder. And it's basically where you have a perceived flaw or issue with one's or more certain parts of your body, and that you can tend to obsess, overthink, and spend a lot of time thinking that other people are talking about it and you're talking about it and you're focusing on it. It tends to lead to a type of, not addictive behavior, but a compulsive behavior. On the other hand, the term that I really like is change blindness. And change blindness is where you have had a change in your body and it takes a while for your brain to catch up with it. And while a lot of people, myself included, have kind of used the term body dysmorphia to describe that, I really want to make that distinction now and change that, because I'm not obsessive about what I am, about my looks. I'm not particularly unhappy or disheartened with it. It's more that my brain hasn't caught up with the changes in my body yet. So they're the distinction between the two issues, the body dysmorphia and the change blindness. I'm not sure if there's another term for change blindness. Maybe there's a more clinical term, but this is just the one that I use. And again, please, I am not a mental health professional nor a medical expert, so take everything I say, please, with a pinch of salt. I'm only coming from my experience and my sister's for this video. So anyway, so that's the difference between the two. So in terms of my story, I'll leave a link up here if you don't know, if you're new here and you just clicked on. I lost 183 pounds in 14 months up to March, April 2021. I then became pregnant and put on 40 pounds during my pregnancy, and from March of this year to a couple of weeks ago, I lost the 40 pounds that I put on. Now, I had been overweight my entire life, like my whole life I was overweight. I was always wanted to lose weight and, failed and had a couple of successes and then put everything back on again very, very quickly. And as I got to my heaviest weight, which I did prior to starting my big weight loss journey, which I call it, I refused to look in the mirror. I was so afraid of looking in the mirror. I would never look in a reflection. I would never let anybody take a candid picture of me. I wouldn't look at the reflection in a shop window, in a darkened TV, anything like that. That would have freaked me out. I basically was just in complete denial and did not want to know what I looked like. I obviously then, you know, embarked on my weight loss journey. I had one photograph that I took at the start, well, two, one front on and one side on, that I took at the start, and I was honestly devastated by the way I looked. I was really ashamed. I already knew I was big, but I didn't think I was as big as I was. I think I kind of had a little bit of a lack of trust in myself then, because I almost had not body dysmorphia, but I had change blindness in the opposite way that one might think you would have it. So as opposed to perceiving yourself as actually bigger than you are, I kind of had change blindness in that I was bigger than I actually was. So I actually was bigger, whereas I perceived myself to be smaller. And that's because I was holding myself in certain ways when I was being photographed or when I was looking at myself in the mirror. I do a lot of this in my past life in order to kind of lift up my body and elongate it. Started my weight loss journey. I then accomplished it, as I said, got to my goal weight, got pregnant very quickly, and then put on the weight. And as I was losing weight this time with my postpartum journey, I started to look at pictures of myself at goal weight and wish I was at that and think that that's my goal, that's where I want to get to. And I was still doing that when I was at this goal. So goal in March 2021, when I lost my pre-pregnancy. And I was looking again at photographs of myself, you know, at that time, but I was weighing exactly the same as I was, thinking that I looked a lot smaller. Does that make sense? So for example, I'm going to put up a picture here of me in the gold dress. This is the one I wore for like the celebration night when I finished my weight loss journey. And I was looking at photographs of that going, gosh, I really wish that I could look like that again. Now, I actually did look like that. I do look like that, but I was looking at it thinking, no, I don't look like that yet. And I realized, okay, there's something not right here going on in here. There's something's not working properly. There's definitely a discord here between, you know, what I look like now and what I think I look like. Now, I will say for change blindness that on my journey down, it took me, my big journey down, it took me a long time to recognize the difference in me. And I did an awful lot of before and after photographs on my way down. So I think it was easier for me to start to see the difference. But I used to have to ask my partner Vincent or my sister or my friend Jeanette, you know, like, do I look different in this photograph? And they'd be like, yeah, of course you do. You're like, you know, 3 stone down, 4 stone down. It wasn't until I was 5 stone down, honestly, that I started to see the difference, that I started to see any kind of change in me. And it did take a long time. And then because I was doing so many transformation pictures and I was posting on Instagram every day, before and afters really, like, I think my feed on my way to my goal weight, and this is before Instagram and they're like trying to be TikTok, I was posting probably like 6 out of 7 posts that I would do a week will be a before and after. So I was really seeing the difference, you know, but for myself in my own eyes. Whereas this time, I'm a bit more conscious of sharing before and afters because I really don't want to perpetuate the myth that weight loss is just about your appearance, because as I say all the time, weight loss is about so much more than weight loss. It's so much more than actually looking smaller or skinnier. There's so much more to it, especially going on up here. So I didn't want to kind of feed into that myth. And really the trend for showing before and afters is really dissipated on Instagram in the weight loss community. But as I mentioned here a couple of times, and a couple of people have said that before and afters really give people hope that they can see a big difference in somebody, and somebody like me who went from morbidly obese to a very normal healthy weight. But that's kind of to give you a bit of a background. But I definitely noticed that this time around I was looking at photographs of myself then from 3 or 4 weeks ago, thinking that I'd love to look that skinny or that small or look that way. And then it dawned on me, it's like, oh no, wait, hold on, you actually look better, maybe, smaller, maybe, different, like not so different. That's the way you look. So because I had been spending my postpartum journey looking back at photographs from my goal weight, wishing I looked like that, I was doing that again. I noticed I was doing that again. I was looking back, but instead of looking back at goal photos, and even looking back at goal photos or photos from a couple of weeks ago, wishing I looked like that, when actually you do, like, it's like, that is what you look like, Carla. I had to stop and have a conversation with myself, be like, that's what you look like. And then I had a realization while I was on a walk a couple of weeks ago, when I went, or like last week, and I was struggling with this a lot, and oh, it's because I never trusted myself before. Because back at the start, before I began my weight loss journey, I never looked at photographs of myself. And even if I did, I kind of would almost like blur my eyes. Now that I think about it, it's really weird. I would almost be like, I can't show you how to blur your eyes. Can't see what my eyes are doing. But I would almost kind of like look at it like squinty, you know, like I'm not really going to look at this, you know. So I was never really aware of what I looked like before. And I would think that I looked smaller. It was almost like a filter, or like I face tuned my body to look, or photoshopped my body to look smaller. And obviously, like, it wasn't smaller. So I had a lack of trust with myself. I hope this is making sense. Basically, I didn't trust myself that what I looked like, because I thought I was skinnier than I was when I started to lose weight, and I was actually bigger. Now when I'm looking at photos, I don't trust my eyes that that is actually how I look, and I think that I look bigger. So there are a couple of things that I'm doing in order to help me to get over that and to really come to terms with what I look like now. And the reason that I'm doing that is so that I avoid the self-sabotage cycle. Now, self-sabotage cycle is quite insidious, and it's something that a lot of us, especially on a weight loss journey, that we engage in. And basically what happens with self-sabotage is, okay, so we realize we're unhappy with the situation. I'm going to take myself, for example. I'm unhappy with my weight, January 2020. I take action to do so, to change that. The action causes a result, and the result is that I have lost weight, or I've lost weight, or I'm losing weight. Now what's happening is that my brain is going, this is uncomfortable because it's not familiar. Our brain, even though it might be bad for us, it seeks familiarity. So it always wants to look for something that's familiar. So even though the actions that I'm taking are what I truly want, because it's causing the uncomfortableness because my brain isn't used to it, I could end up resulting to bad habits or negative actions in order to feel more comfortable. So in the case of losing weight, it could be that, you know, somebody loses 3 stone or 20 pounds or 300 pounds. Their brain is like, what the frick is going on? And then it encourages them to seek familiarity, and the familiarity is most likely the behavior that caused them to be that way in the first place. Food, binging, eating. And even though it's negative, it's familiar. Now, the way to overcome that is to be okay being uncomfortable. And that's something that I've really learnt over my weight loss journey, is to be comfortable with discomfort. And that for me looks like being okay with being slightly hungry, being okay with not having the extra something, and kind of distracting myself or grounding myself in order to get through that. Now, I don't want, my brain is not comfortable right now with the way I look, because it's not thinking that it looks the way it is. So my body looks the way it is. So it's kind of pushing me towards that, you know, that behavior that caused me to be overweight in the first place. So what I'm doing is stopping that. I'm putting an end to that. What I'm doing is stopping that. I'm stopping that behavior or stopping that action before it takes place so that I can stay the way I look now and hope that, and not hope, just actually do and become and stay and maintain the weight that I've lost and be the person that I am, that I know I was supposed to be. So how I'm doing that is, and if you've seen my measurements video, I'll leave it linked up here as well. A lot of that is to do with the measurements, but what I'm basically trying to do is become familiar with my new body. And I'm doing that with a couple of tips. So the first one is that I am engaging more in before and afters on my Instagram, and also, so say if you don't have a weight loss Instagram or something like that, or you know, like whatever, you can do it yourself. You don't have to do it. You don't have to share it with anybody. And it's just seeing that difference and making sure that you know that difference, that there is a difference between before and after, that there is a difference between halfway and after. There's a difference between 5 weeks ago and after. So getting familiar with that difference in the body. So doing that with photographs and with video as well. Video, so that's kind of like a tip 1A, is getting really familiar with video as well as photographs. I was amazing at posing myself to make myself look smaller. So video has a way of, you can't hide basically. Video, like a photograph tells 1,000 words, a video tells the entire story. And that's really what I want to do, is be able to see, okay, no, there is a difference here. You know, like you look really good. You do not look like you're 23 stone. So doing that. Then also kind of within the same vein, but another tip is to get really familiar with the mirror and with reflections. As somebody who's avoided the mirror and reflections my entire life, this one is something that I've had to actively engage in that behavior. I've had to do something, you know, I've had to start to look at myself. So looking at myself naked, looking at myself in underwear, looking at myself clothed, looking at myself sitting and standing and turning and looking and moving and feeling and getting really, really familiar with myself. That's really, really important. Now, I just want to give a caveat here, especially to anybody who has got excessive amounts of weight to lose and loose skin. For me, I have had loose skin, or like I've been flabby since as long as I can remember. So like, you know, like I have my good old bingo wing, I have this bad boy hanging out here, you know, but the volume of it was obviously much bigger when I was 23 stone as opposed to like I'm 10 and a half or 146, 47 pounds now. I was 323. So the volume that I take up is a lot less, but I do have the same makeup in my physical appearance as I did when I was that size as I do now when I'm naked. So if you are like me and you have been flabby your whole life, I hate that word flabby, like if you're flabby your whole life, we're not gonna get, you know, your body might look exactly the same when you shrink, it's just the volume is gonna be less. So just an FYI, that can be a little bit of like a brain FUCK, because, you know, you're like, oh, but I look the same, but you don't. Your volume is different. You're fitting into a size 10 as opposed to a size 24. So just, that's just an aside from somebody who has been there, just to anybody who is like me. I just want to put that out there. Okay, so there's also in terms of acceptance. So we've had our photographs and videos, we've had mirrors, and then there is feeling and touch. So really getting familiar with your body. That's something that I'm doing. Feeling my chest, feeling my shoulders, feeling my legs, feeling my hips and my hip bones, feeling my like lovely chest, my clavicle, you know, like really like getting familiar with how I feel. And that this is different, you know, than to before, and it is massively different. Another way as well is I've noticed one of the biggest changes for me in terms of before and after was when I had a massage, and how different a massage feels now. And I know it's a very bougie, privileged thing to be like, go get a massage so you can notice the difference in your weight loss, but bear with me. Right? When I was being massaged at 23 stone, which was already a brain shame, like I could never relax properly. Getting massaged now, you can feel things in a totally different way than you were able to feel before. It's a much more intense process, and that is because there isn't as much of a barrier, like a wall of fat between your muscles and the person massaging you. So that's some way else. So like feeling or getting something, or like having your partner or like a friend or something like that even give you a massage, just so you can be like, wow, that feels different. So it's getting to familiar. So we're looking at like the visuals with the photographs, the videos in the mirror, and also with your incorporating that sense of touch. So you got your sense of sight, your sense of touch as well. Another way as well, in order to get your brain to catch up, is to use measurements. So I am a big advocate for measuring out your body and seeing the difference in measurements, especially when the scales does not play ball. And I'll leave that video in the description box down below that I have. And I think that's really important video because we place so much emphasis on weight. But in terms of, you know, like measurements, take your measurements again, because the measuring tape can't lie. Like even if you have it in a slightly different place, you know, like if you've lost, you know, 8 inches from around your waist, or you've lost 7.5, like there's still a big difference. You know, it's still like a considerable amount less than you did before. So just measurements, I think, are really, really important and really underrated as well. And that's helping your brain to go, okay, no, there is a difference, this change blindness, you know, and it starts to open your eyes and help you to see the difference. Then we have one of my favorite ways of helping to change is to completely change your style. This is a tip from my sister, and it's also something that, like, I think a lot of us unintentionally put in, that we unintentionally incorporate into our lives when we reach goal and maintenance. Changing your style, so you're not wearing what you were wearing when you were overweight. You're not wearing the same clothes if you can afford to. I understand that, you know, like I'm speaking from a place of privilege. This is extremely expensive on my bank account, but changing my style and not just wearing, you know, like something that fits. Making sure that it's stuff that I like and that fits me well really helps for my brain to catch up when I see myself, to go, okay, no, you are wearing something you would never have been able to wear previously. Changing your style as well, so that it's, you know, like I did not have a style before. It was like vaguely rockerish, but like now I have a style. Like I would consider myself like a mix between coastal goth mother, dark aesthetic floral feminine, 70s rocker chic / Y2K. A little bit of the Y2K 90s in there as well. Anyway, so changing your style and not wearing the same things that you wore before can help your brain to catch up with it. And I've noticed, I was talking to my sister about this today. My sister lost 92 pounds before I did, just FYI if you don't know. That I would be walking around a shop, and even if I'm shopping with somebody, like my mom, for example, and she would point out something that I would have worn before, I will say, like, no, that is not something that I'll wear now. That is my style from before. Or, you know, like I might find myself gravitating towards like a baggy black jumper. I'd be like, no, I don't wear those. The one thing I will never wear again, so help me God, are treggings. Those thick leggings with the seam down the front of them. I will never, a pair of them will never don this body ever again. Ever again. That is like my solemn swear to myself that I will never put a pair of them, because that's all I wore for about 10 years. 10 years I wore treggings, and I went from a size 16 in them that I'm beating myself into from a top shop, and I'm beating myself into them, and all the way up. I am wearing jeans. I'm wearing like no stretch size 10 jeans that button up the front, you know, like that's what we're in. Never again with the treggings. So I will never go back and wear a pair of treggings again. So if there's something like that, you know, like not resorting to your previous style and helping yourself to change. Now there are ways to do that can cost less, and I have a video on like style as you lose weight, and I'm possibly going to do more styling videos as you lose weight. But also there is another thing here to do with style, and that is sorry, I'm pointing at you with my pen. If you are in the store or shop and you're shopping, and this is something that I really noticed that I do, and it's something that I'm definitely going to put into practice. So I know that I am a small, a size 8 to 10. And I look at clothes and I think to myself, that's never going to fit. And my sister told me today that if she hears that voice pop up in her head, she picks it up and walks to the fitting room and tries it on, so that you can discount that negative self-talk. And that leads me on to the most important thing here. To quote Adriana, my sister, your brain is a supercomputer, and the things that you tell yourself are the program that you run in your head, or your negative self-talk is the program that runs your brain. So it is really, really important to hear that voice, that little voice. And I've spoken about this so many times, that I like negative self-talk, and understanding the root of my negative self-talk was the catalyst which changed my whole life and my journey. But hearing that little voice and going, not today, Satan, how dare you speak about me that way? This is my, I know that I look fabulous. Don't you dare say anything else except that to me. Challenging that voice when you hear it and either pushing it away, being like, nope, not today. I'm gonna go you tell me I can't finish those size 10 jeans, watch me. And finally, guys, practice makes perfect. This is not something, for me anyway, I can only talk about myself, my own experience. I have been overweight my entire life. So for me, it is my default in order to go and, talk negatively about myself and to imagine that I still look the way that I did previously. It takes time, and practice will make perfect. And I will continue to be kind to myself and understand that this is something that I just need to work on, and I need to continue. It's not going to happen overnight, and it will get easier. As my weight loss journey, managing that negative self-talk got easier, this too shall pass. This too shall get easier. Might not ever be gone, but it will get easier. Sorry, my memory card was full. I had to delete a couple of things. I hope I didn't delete anything that I need. My battery is about to run low. I'm going to end this video now. Please leave me a guitar emoji for my lovely guitar here that I never play and have no idea how to play, and my nails are far too long to play. But anyway, if you've made it to the end of the video, as always, thank you so much for sticking with me and for watching this video and choosing to spend your time with me. Please subscribe, like, comment down below with a guitar emoji, or if you have experienced body dysmorphia or change blindness, please let me know and share your stories. I love chatting with you guys in the comments as well, and I will be back with you very shortly. And guys, thank you so much again. Talk to you soon.